Vazifdar? Vazifdar? I believe that's right? Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Just before I get started, can everyone hear me? Awesome. So my name is, I'm so sorry. My name is Kawsar Vazifdar. I'm a civil engineer with the Environmental Programs Division at LA County Public Works. Today, I'll be providing an overview of LA County's approach to developing organic waste processing infrastructure to comply with California's SB 1383 requirements to divert organic waste from landfill disposal. And I'll also be talking about how procuring the products created from recovered organic waste, such as renewable natural gas and compost, which is not only required by SB 1383, also helps create a demand for these end products to help support the development of new infrastructure. So I'll quickly just go over what we do in the Environmental Programs Division at Los Angeles County Public Works, give a very brief summary of the Senate Bill 1383 requirements for anyone not from California, and then I'll talk about our challenges in developing anaerobic digestion facilities and our county's ongoing analysis to identify sites for infrastructure. And then I'll also talk about the county's procurement efforts and our goal to develop a circular organic waste economy. So in our Environmental Programs Division, we're responsible for managing solid waste. That includes collection, processing, and disposal for the residents and businesses in unincorporated Los Angeles County. As part of that role, we lead the Southern California Conversion Technology Project. We research and implement alternative to landfill technologies that convert municipal solid waste into electricity, fuel, or other products. Like I said, we're looking at sites to develop a commercial scale anaerobic digestion facility and other infrastructure like a community compost hub in Los Angeles County. In addition, we also have a regional role that extends outside our unincorporated areas where we provide long-term planning for solid waste disposal capacity and organic waste processing capacity. Unfortunately, relying on existing permitted in-county landfill capacity alone is insufficient in meeting the county's disposal needs. So that means the county is going to need to ramp up its efforts to prevent and reduce waste, as well as develop alternative to landfill technologies. According to our most recent projections, the county in the year 2034 will dispose about 3.4 million tons of organic waste. So that really underscores the need to develop this new infrastructure. And last, in the Environmental Programs Division, we also implement other solid waste programs throughout the region. We have events to collect items like mattresses, tires, household hazardous waste, and we educate our residents on the benefits of things like backyard composting and recycling. So, as promised, I'll just briefly talk about SB 1383. Basically, it requires a 75% reduction in the amount of organic waste disposed statewide throughout California by the year 2025. As we all know, it is 2025 and the state has not met that goal, so there's a lot of work to be done. This organic waste disposal reduction target will be achieved through implementing mandatory organic waste collection, food recovery programs, and procurement of recycled organic waste products like compost, mulch, heat, transportation fuel, electricity, and pipeline biomethane. Local jurisdictions like cities and counties are also required to educate residents and businesses about food recovery and organic waste recycling and develop a plan for ensuring that there's enough infrastructure to recover and process organic waste. In addition, jurisdictions are required to inspect commercial businesses and waste haulers and enforce the SB 1383 requirements and maintain records demonstrating our compliance. So, like I said, the bottom line is Los Angeles County needs new infrastructure to process organic waste. But there are a lot of challenges that we're encountering in developing these facilities. So under SB 1383, organic waste needs to be collected separately in a separate bin and processed separately from trash and recyclables. Mixed waste processing is allowed only if the pre-processing facilities can demonstrate that they can recover 75% of the organic material from the mixed waste. And many such technologies actually do exist and are in operation, but obtaining certification from CalRecycle is challenging and it's costly. So hopefully, if additional flexibility could be provided to allow mixed waste processing facilities to find it easier to become certified, that would help us recover more organic waste and give us more options for processing it, especially in instances where separating organic waste isn't always feasible, like in multifamily housing, or in the event where there's substantial contamination, like large venues and events where people really aren't thinking about separating their food waste. And so another challenge, especially in LA County, which is very densely populated and urban, is the lack of suitable sites. So in order to find a site that's big enough, has enough space, is zoned appropriately, requires a lot of research and analysis. And then if we were to find a site, obtaining all the permits and entitlements is also a very extensive process with no guarantee of success. The next challenge is the lack of reliable and consistent feedstock because most cities and counties contract their waste collection to private waste haulers. It makes it difficult to ensure that the organic feedstock is going to specific facilities, which then makes it difficult to secure financing and keep tipping fees competitive. And last, there's a need for additional incentives for the end products. Most AD facilities, what we're seeing is they're choosing to create renewable natural gas fuel. It generates more revenue due to the low carbon fuel standard and renewable fuel standard credits, but we hope that the state and federal governments might consider providing some additional incentives for the other end products like electricity or hydrogen. So currently, LA County is conducting a county-wide parcel evaluation to identify a feasible site for the development of an organic waste processing facility and maybe a thermal conversion technology facility as well. So we developed a list of screening criteria to identify potential sites, such as ensuring we're protecting residential areas and sensitive receptors, making sure anything built at that site would be structurally stable, and ensuring that the surface water, groundwater, air quality, and any environmentally sensitive areas would all be protected. We also looked at ensuring that the site would have access to transportation routes and that it would fit in with the general plan for that jurisdiction and also just comply with any other regulatory requirements. So far, we've identified 138 parcels that meet that initial screening criteria, but our work is not done. We need to continue evaluating these parcels, conduct site visits to see if they're vacant, what are the surrounding land uses, and other site characteristics like slopes, green fields, easements, and more. So we want to conduct that analysis to narrow down the list to parcels that are really the most viable. And then once we do that, we'll do an even more detailed evaluation. In addition to the countywide parcel evaluation, we also looked at 13 closed landfill sites. Only one of those was found to be potentially suitable for development, but we'll continue looking at it. We'll do property research to see if we can confirm who the owner is. And because it's a closed landfill, we'll also need to do a geotechnical investigation and find out what the contents of that landfill are. Could there be potential settlement, and make further engineering recommendations. So, like I said, in order to comply with SB 1383, we also have to procure recovered organic waste products. As you can imagine, this is really challenging because, like I just said, we don't have enough infrastructure to actually process the organic waste and then create these recovered organic waste products. But we are making our best effort. We're updating a lot of our contracts for waste hauling, landscaping, road maintenance, and stormwater facility maintenance to require contractors to procure recovered organic waste products wherever feasible. Last year in 2023, LA County actually did not report any procurement due to not having enough documentation to show all of these activities and how much we actually procured. But this year in 2024, our contracted waste haulers held 18 events. They gave away compost and mulch created from recycled organic waste to residents, and that was about 685 tons of material. So we're making progress, but to give you some context, our procurement target is about 80,000 tons. So our procurement is increasing, but we definitely need to ramp it up a little bit more. Luckily, CalRecycle has seen this, and they are giving cities and counties additional options. There were a couple of new bills recently enacted that provide us some additional options. So local jurisdictions can now meet 10% of their total procurement target from recovered edible foods, so that's food donation. And also, if you have tree trimming operations and you produce mulch and just land apply it, you can take credit for that as well. There's also another option just for 2025 where you can meet 10% of your procurement by investing in community composting operations, compost handling operations, compost and mulch distribution sites, equipment, purchasing land, things like that. So now we do have some additional options, so that's helpful. You can also do a disposal facility-based waste characterization study to kind of show that you're not disposing as much organic waste as the state thinks, and that can help you reduce your target as well. And this has been helpful. In LA County, we donate a lot of edible food. Last year, we donated about 750,000 pounds. So these options do help us get a little bit closer. And like I said, we're updating our landscaping contracts, so we'll get some credit for our tree trimming mulch, and we're working on developing a community compost hub as well. So again, the flexibility of these additional procurement options is really helpful. We appreciate that CalRecycle wants to help local jurisdictions comply, but we procured about 600 tons and our goal is 80,000, so we still have a lot more work to do. consistently meeting that procurement target is basically going to require us to develop this circular economy for organic waste. So the organic waste that residents, businesses, and facilities generate will be sent to infrastructure like anaerobic digestion, composting, potentially thermal conversion as well, depending on the type of organic waste. And then once it's processed, it turns into those recovered organic waste products like energy and fertilizer that then can be procured by residents, businesses, and facilities. So I think CalRecycle had this idea that if there's a demand for the end products, that will help encourage the development of infrastructure and help facilitate this. So with these additional options, like I said, we can now get credits if we invest in facilities and equipment. So that kind of feeds into the infrastructure and helps support the development of new facilities. But when it comes to providing credits for recovered edible food and tree trimming mulch, again, very, very helpful for local jurisdictions to bump up our procurement numbers. But as you can see, these activities are really considered waste prevention, which again is also very effective at preventing organic waste disposal and reducing landfill emissions, but it doesn't really feed into this circular economy for organic waste. So it will help us out in the short term to help us increase our procurement using some of these easy activities to take credit for. But in the long term, we really, really need to develop more infrastructure and buy those products so that we can make this circular economy a little bit more robust. So our next steps in doing so, like I said, additional infrastructure is essential. So in order to develop that infrastructure, we'll be continuing our evaluation to identify suitable sites. As we all know, the development of new infrastructure is expensive. In Southern California, the capital cost for a commercial scale AD facility could easily exceed $100 million, probably more than that. So the county will also be looking at favorable funding mechanisms like public-private partnerships to minimize the construction and operating costs of this infrastructure and keep those tipping fees down to make it an attractive option for our private waste haulers. The county will also continue to advocate for grants and loans and other incentives from the state and from the federal government to help make those AD facilities a little bit more financially viable as well. And together, we think all of these activities will help establish a circular organic waste economy in Southern California. So thank you all so much for your time. I believe we're going to have a Q&A session, but if you think of any questions later on, please feel free to contact me, and I'll also be on a panel later this afternoon, so not to worry, you'll hear more from LA County.